There are over 500 weapons in Terraria. Yeah, that's a lot. And, compared to a lot of games, there are kind of a lot of difference. Some games have lots of weapons, some games have less weapons, but Terraria does a very good job at dispersing the different types of combat that you can use in your gameplay. Now, for example, there are 4 different classes of weapon using, if you're not including yo-yo, so technically 5. And there's a lot that we can talk about. This is a juicy, thick steak of content right here. So let's start off with swords. There are lots of swords. There are almost 100 swords, including the projectiles, but there are about 100 swords in Terraria. Not to mention, 1.45 comes out. I'll be pretty excited for that because there's more variety to that as well. First, obviously, you start off with the copper short sword. Strangely enough, it's never tin. It's always copper, even though your world can be either copper or tin. Then you can get the wooden sword, which is pretty easy to obtain. Also, not to mention the cactus sword is pretty easy to obtain. Good starter weapon. Cactus just looks like a weird green. It barely looks like a cactus, but yeah, it would hurt. Then there's the swords that you can obtain by mining ores in the underground, such as iron or lead or gold or platinum and silver and tungsten. I didn't do it in order, but we'll get past that. So essentially, those are the swords that you can get. You can also get the stylish scissors from the styler. Obviously, there's the ruler. There's a katana. There's a Muramasa, probably one of my favorite swords, pre-hard mode. There's also the Blood Butcherer, which you can craft by getting the Crimtane ore, and there's also the Light's Bane, which is the opposite. Then there's the Blade of Grass, which you can obtain from the jungle spores and vines, and what was it? The stingers. Yes, there's the volcano, which is a very volcanic, fiery, used to be called the Fiery Greatsword, and then they changed it. Personally, I think Fiery Greatsword sounds pretty badass, but, I didn't make the rules. And then there's the Knight's Edge, which is the most powerful pre-hard mode weapon. You got the classy cane, you got the slap hand, you got a cobalt sword, which similarly looks like the Muramasa, but not quite. And there's a bunch of other swords as well. There's its alternative, which is Palladium, which has this zigzag look to it. There's the Breaker Blade you get from Wall of Flesh. I think that's from Final Fantasy. But there's a bunch of sword variants that you can get for all the 3-tier ores that you can get from destroying the demon altars. Personally, I like turning my swords so it can become the Terror Blade, because the Terror Blade is amazing, as we all know. There's a Horseman's Blade, there's the Colophorate Claymore, and then there's also other weapons that you can get from events, such as the Influx Waver, the Star Wrath. I don't know why I almost called it Star Wraith, but whatever. There's the Meowmer, which Meowmere, I think. And yeah, also a pretty OP weapon. And then there's the Zenith, which is technically not a sword, but it's a sword in our book, okay? And then there's yo-yos. I don't know why I said that so weird, but there's a ton of pre-hard mode yo-yos, and then there's a bunch of the other yo-yos. Personally, I don't really go for yo-yos because they're so hard to get your enemies with. You gotta just swing it all over the place, and that's kind of annoying. You get what I'm saying. Personally though, the Eye Cthulhu, not the boss, the yo-yo is pretty decent, and the Terrarian. Besides that, I'm just Then you got spears. There's the Rotted Fork, and then surprisingly, there's no alternative for the corruption. Yeah, there's surprisingly nothing for that. But I personally like to go for the Dark Lance if I get a chance to hold on to that. I personally don't really use spears because they're kind of slow, so there's not really much to talk about with the hard mode spears. Although the Obsidian Swordfish looks pretty badass. There's boomerangs, which you guys know that I was obsessed with the chakram. I don't know why, but I was. I thought it was really well made. There's also the flame ring, which was pretty damn good. There's the Sergeant United Shield, aka, avoiding copyright, and you know what I'm saying. Possessed Hatchet is amazing. It looks like a puny ass little axe, but oh no, you are mistaken. And then there's the banana ring. and Light's Disc and Paladin Hammer and Flying Knife and other stuff. There's too much stuff to go over in this one video. I would love to, but it would kind of trail long, and people have insanely short attention spans nowadays. So there's flails that just look like pixelated meatballs. Yeah, we're not going there. There's the Sun Fury, which is probably my favorite pre-hard mode, like, flail. Well, I mean, no shit. And then there's the get over here knife. Yeah, I don't even need to say that. And then there's other stuff like the, Dow of Pow, Flower Pow, Drippler, Crippler. They give them very fancy names. And then there's more launch stuff like the Golem Fist, KO Cannon, and Flare-On. There's also Chain Guillotines. It's a French word, I'm sorry. And then there's the Anchor. And then there's Other, which essentially is just have like their own kind of like attack. I like how the Solar Eruptor and Daybreak, they're just kind of their own thing. They're kind of like the kid that, doesn't fit in school, aka myself. Well, didn't fit in. I'm not in school anymore. There's a bunch of bows, and there's a lot of bows in pre-hard mode. And once you get into the harder mode, there's repeaters, aka more so like crossbows, and then you got other stuff. You got, I like the Eventide. The Eventide's pretty OP. You got the Phantasm, Chlorophyte Shot Bow. Hull Repeater's decent for fighting the mechanical bosses. Daedalus Stormbow, I probably butchered that. Also pretty good. And then we got guns. The most controversial weapon out of them all. We got our pre-hard mode guns. We got the Red Rider, which you could only get during the Christmas time of the year. You got the Mini Shark. I crafted 2 of those accidentally in my playthrough, and that was really the most annoying thing I've ever done in my life. The Phoenix Blaster is pretty cool. The Pneumatic Horn, that is, I've never heard of that. There's the Quad Barrel I just said shit. Shotgun. Hard mode guns, there's a Clockwork Assault Rifle, which is an assault rifle. There's the Uzi, which shoots really, really fast. So there's the Mega Shark, which is the Mini Shark, but, abuse shark level 10,000, kill a bunch of sharks. Vortex Beater. Why is it called Beater? Like, when we think of that, you're thinking of, and then there's also the SDMG. There's the Onyx Blaster, which also is pretty cool. Onyx Blaster shoots this like dark purpley, like black evil thing. And then there's launchers and pretty basic stuff. Jack-o'-lantern launchers and grenade launcher are the only ones that I've used. I don't really use launchers. No, actually, there's a Celebration MK2 cannon, but I surprisingly don't use that because I don't know how to use shit like that because I'm like a grandpa. And then there's consumables. I don't know why they're called consumables. I don't think we're gonna swallow javelins. And then there's Molotov cocktail. White paper airplane is I guess apparently a weapon. Shuriken. How are you going to consume these things? Okay, whatever. And then there's grenades, essentially bombs, kind of. Grenade, sticky grenade, bouncy grenade, B-nade, and happy grenade. Yes. And then there's other quote-unquote guns, and I like the Star Cannon. I use that a lot. There's a Snowball Cannon. Okay, I lied. Almost. I do use some of the cannons, but after it gets to hard mode, there's better stuff. And then there's the Dart Pistol and then the Dart Rifle. Essentially, they're kind of the same thing. And then there's the Flamethrower. Just makes you seem like a crazy pyromaniac. And then we got our magic weapons. And magic honestly looks like a laser fest of just pretty much everything imaginable. The mystics here are gonna like this section because the Wand of Sparking, literally a stick is more useful than a lot of things. So, feel good about yourself with that. And then you got all the crystal staffs, of course, and then there's the Vile Thorn, which is like a decaying stick. And then there's a Flame Lash, personally my favorite, like out of both the hard modes and other ones. The Crystal Vial Shard looks like rock candy almost. Betsy's Wrath is another one where it just looks like fireworks just being shot. There's the Shadow Beam Staff, which is just lightning with really insanely interesting projectiles. And then there's a bunch of magic guns, yada yada, space gun, a heat ray, bubble gun. I didn't even realize that was even damn. The simple things seem to be can cause lots of damage. It's the little things we don't think of, people. And then there's the spell books. For you guys that don't like reading, I think you will like these books. Okay, I've just been ranting for a long time, but there's just other stuff. There's, there's the Toxic Flask, Glass Prism, Stellar Tune, Nebula Arcanium, and then for pre-hard mode, there's only one puny one, and that's the Crimson Rod. And then summoning weapons, there's, I also never really used summoning, but, well, until I got to the Stardust Cell Staff and Stardust Dragon, because basically that's the end game, and you're pretty much peaked out at that point. So, although the Imp Staff was pretty cool when I did that, because it complements on the pyromaniac, almost eccentric look I got going on. Please kill me. Okay, so hard mode sentry summoning weapons. I don't know much about. Oh, I see. Okay, I was looking at it. Sentry is just sentry is stuff that like stays in like one place. That's right. That makes more sense. You got the Rainbow Crystal Staff, which is just in its name. You got the Lunar Portal Staff, which is it's like the vortex things, but it like shoots a literal actual laser. Although it's like the Nebula Arcanium, but like just like it's a different color. It's still pretty cool, but it's insanity. And then you got whips. Surprisingly, there's not that many whips, but you got Leather Whip. That's pretty kinky. And then you got the Snap Thorn. And then you got the Spinal Tap, which sounds less kinky. Then there's the Firecracker. Jeez, man. There's the Durandriel that kind of looks like a sword, but oh, you'd be mistaken. And then there's Morning Star, which is a foot. Damn! When you go on the man, that is just animal abuse. When you go on the wiki, you're hitting a unicorn with that. That is okay. YouTube, please don't think I'm promoting, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, and then there's placeable weapons. So there's the cannon, there's the landmine, there's the bunny cannon, and the snowball launcher, and that's about it. And then there's explosives, bombs. You got your variants of bombs. They got the holy hand grenade. Why did they get rid of that, man? They shouldn't have gotten rid of that. How dare they? And then obviously you got your stowaways slash cat outcasts, which is weapons that exist as functional game items but cannot be acquired through normal gameplay. So you got the boring bow, which is like a bow. It's a bow that's kind of boring. There's the Ethereal Javelin. There's the First Fractal, which is pretty much Diet Zenith. And then, oh my fucking word. And then there's a Skull Bow. Why can you not do these, man? They seem pretty cool. You got scythes, you got Skull Bow, they got the Iceborn, which is just a long ass sword that you can shove up your ass. You got the Soul Scythe, which looks pretty cool, but it doesn't. Okay, that's about it. So there's a lot of stuff. I want to have a Tic Tac. No, I think, yeah. This is not sponsored by Tic Tac. I never really thought that ranting into my camera for this, sorry, not my camera, my mic, would really feel this dismembered. But there's a lot that you can do with, there's essentially a shit ton of variety, okay? There's a bit more than you can ask for. And if you got mods, then there's even a lot more than you can do with that as well. So just enjoy it. Have fun with it, go berserk, like I said, and just, it's going to take time to figure out. It took me time to figure out, but the Wikipedia, which I'll have a link to, is pretty much the best way that, you can just, pretty much figure out all this stuff, how to craft all this stuff. Well, some of it you can't quite craft, and it's really annoying trying to get, but that's kind of the point, I think, and I think it makes it more enjoyable that way. When there's that challenge, you're trying to get this weapon, or you combining all the shit together with the overcomplicated system that really isn't that overcomplicated and isn't as hard as it looks. I get it, man. It's pretty confusing as hell. I understand, but the many times that I've played this game, I think there'll be a point when you figure out I can do this shit. There's a lot of weapons. I obviously can't review all 500 weapons, but this is kind of just a brief overview of if you're new to Terraria and you just wanted some insight of, someone just ranting about it just to give you an idea of weapons in Terraria. I think that's pretty great. And yeah, I hope I helped you get kind of a general idea of the weapons in this game. So more content soon, as always. I love this game. I talk about it a lot. I have many videos on this game. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll always be creating more content. Stick out for the new stuff soon. And have a good rest of your day. Thank you guys for watching.